Welcome to Military Stories, where courage meets mystery, loyalty meets shadows, and legends walk silently beside ordinary men. Today's story is one you won't forget. This is the tale of an old general nobody recognized, a group of reckless soldiers who mocked him, and the night that changed their lives forever. The morning air at Camp Harthorne was thick with dust, sweat, and the bite of discipline. Boots thundered like restless drums against packed earth. Voices rose over the crackling radios, and soldiers moved through drills with the relentless rhythm of a machine. Yet beyond all the organized chaos, in the far corner near the armory, a man walked with quiet purpose. He looked older. Silver hair cut sharp, posture straight, eyes calm. His boots were worn, his uniform unadorned. No shining badges, no insignia, no rank visible. To new recruits he was invisible, or just some older retired advisor. Some believed he wandered base because he had nothing better to do. Others hardly noticed him. His name was Elias Grant. Once a general, once a legend, now a ghost among the living. He walked through the training field like a breeze passing through trees, felt but rarely seen. But this morning he would not walk unnoticed. Two soldiers leaned against a concrete barrier, exhausted after a brutal training cycle. Mason Holt wiped sweat from his forehead, muttering complaints about the sergeant. Trevor, Trek Tomlins, chugged water like he'd been starved of it for weeks. Diego Larez stretched, wincing at sore muscles. They were good soldiers, young, arrogant at times, but capable. Today, however, fatigue and irritation loosened their judgment. They spotted Elias strolling past them. Holt snorted. "Look at Grandpa. Must have wandered in from some retirement village." Trek laughed. "Bet he can't even pass basic anymore." Diego added, "Probably came for story time." Their laughter was louder than necessary. Elias heard them. He'd heard worse in his life. Still, he kept walking. But Holt wasn't done. "Hey, old man, you lost? Need help crossing the road?" A few nearby soldiers turned, some frowning, others chuckling nervously. Elias stopped. Slowly. He turned his head, eyes locking onto Holt with unsettling clarity. No anger, no offense, just a look that pierced through the noise and landed directly on Holt's pride. Holt stiffened, unsure why. Trek smirked at him, nudging him. "He's deaf, bro." Holt raised his voice. "Hey, I'm talking to you!" Elias stared in silence, then spoke, his voice steady. "Son, the only thing I can't hear are the excuses you'll make later." Laughter rippled around them. Holt flushed red. "You think you're tough, old man? Prove it." Trek chimed in mockingly. "Yeah, General Grandpa, show us what you got." The word general was thrown as a joke. Elias smiled faintly. It wasn't amusement. It was recognition. The smile of a man who had seen too many battles to be shaken by the barks of pups. Holt pointed toward the obstacle course. "Race us, if you're not scared." Elias didn't refuse. "All right." 5 minutes later, the whistle blew. Holt shot forward like a bullet. Trek followed, Diego close behind. Elias moved last, steady, not hurried. They cleared the first wall, grunting, scrambling over. Elias reached it seconds later, planting one boot against it and lifting himself over with a graceful ease that made Holt blink mid-run. They swung across monkey bars. Elias moved like he memorized gravity's weaknesses. The rope climb came next. Holt and the others struggled halfway. Elias glided up the rope like an old friend helping him ascend. Diego muttered under his breath, "What the—" Trek gasped. "Is he even breathing?"
Holt, exhausted, pumped his legs with renewed effort. He refused to lose to an old man. But when they rounded the final turn, Elias stood at the finish line, all ready, hands behind his back, breathing calm. "How did you—" Holt collapsed. Trek fell beside him. Diego just stared. Before anyone could speak, a commanding voice boomed across the field. "At ease!" Colonel Sharp marched forward. Both the young men jumped up straight. But instead of addressing them, he went directly to Elias and saluted him, a crisp, formal, respectful salute. Elias returned it with quiet dignity. Holt's blood ran cold. Trek swallowed hard. Diego blinked repeatedly. Colonel Sharp turned to the stunned trio. "Soldiers, meet General Elias Grant, former head of Strategic Division, decorated veteran of 4 major campaigns, the architect of Operation Dawnfall." He paused. "And one of the greatest tacticians this country has ever seen." Holt felt the world tilt. Trek whispered, "We are officially screwed." Diego shut his eyes. Sharp continued, "And today you insulted him." Holt spoke first, voice trembling. "Sir, General, I'm so sorry. We didn't know." Elias raised his hand. "They're young, Sharp. Young men make mistakes. What matters is what they do next." His voice carried weight. Sharp nodded, stepping back. Elias looked at the 3 soldiers. "Learn something from today, boys." They nodded rapidly. Respect born from humiliation. But something else, something unspoken, was forming too. That night, Holt couldn't sleep. His mind replayed every moment of the obstacle course. How had Elias moved like that? How could a man his age outrun 3 fit soldiers? Rumors spread across camp like wildfire. Some said Elias once survived 13 days behind enemy lines without food or backup. Others claimed he could predict enemy maneuvers before they happened. One story said he'd walked away from a Black Ops mission. No one else survived. No one knew the truth.
The next morning, Holt spotted Elias watching the sunrise from a bench outside. Holt approached, quieter this time. "Permission to sit, sir?" Elias nodded. Holt sat beside him. The silence was comfortable, not tense. After a moment, Holt asked, "Sir, why don't you wear your rank?" Elias didn't answer right away. He looked ahead, eyes distant. "Because sometimes rank gets in the way of seeing what truly matters." Holt frowned. "But sir, you earned everything you achieved." Elias's voice grew softer. "I stepped down because I couldn't trust the people giving the orders anymore." Holt looked at him, puzzled. Elias stood. "Enjoy the sunrise, son. It's one of the few things the world can't corrupt." That night, alarms shattered the calm. Sirens wailed. Floodlights snapped on. A voice yelled across radios, "Perimeter breach! All units respond!" Holt, Trek, and Diego sprinted toward the commotion. When they arrived, guards were confused. There was movement, one said, but it vanished. Holt scanned the area. Then he spotted it. A footprint. Human. Fresh. Elias approached, eyes narrowing. This wasn't an accident. The next night, the same. Movement, footage, shadows. Nothing clear, but too precise to be random. Elias requested security feeds. Hours passed. At 3:17 a.m. on camera 14, a flicker appeared. A shape. Human. Tactical. Elias whispered, "No." Holt heard, "Sir, you know who that is?" Elias didn't answer. His silence said enough. On the 4th night, the intruder stepped into the open. A soldier dressed in unmarked gear. Skilled, controlled. The figure slowly removed their mask. A scar marked the left cheek. Eyes cold, focused. Elias inhaled sharply. "Captain Rowan."
The man smirked. "Good to see you too, General." Holt, hidden behind a barrier, whispered, "Who is he?" Elias's voice grew heavy. "A soldier I thought died years ago." Rowan stepped forward. "You abandoned us, sir. You left the unit. You left me." Elias's jaw tensed. "I didn't abandon anyone. We were ambushed, betrayed." Rowan scoffed. "Funny how you were the only one who walked away alive." Holt felt a chill. Elias stepped closer. "Rowan, I searched for survivors. Everyone said you were gone. Everyone." Rowan's eyes softened. "Well, they lied." Then hardened again. "I came here for answers, to see whether you were still the man I once trusted or the man they said betrayed us." Elias met Rowan's gaze steadily. "I never betrayed you." Rowan studied his face. Long, hard. Finally, he nodded once. "I believe you." But before the air could settle, boom! Darkness engulfed the base. All lights died at once. Emergency alarms roared. "We are under attack!" Holt, Trek, and Diego scrambled into action. Figures moved through shadows, trained, silent, deadly. Not here to kill, here to capture. Holt fired. Trek pulled a fallen soldier to cover. Diego took a shot to the vest, but stayed standing. Elias and Rowan fought like synchronized predators. Holt shouted, "Sir, they're after you!" Elias responded calm, even in chaos. "Yes." Holt demanded, "Why?" Elias replied, "Because I know too much about the wrong people." Explosions hit the motor pool. Smoke spread. A helicopter descended overhead, enemy ropes dropping. Attackers fast roped down with precision. Rowan pushed Elias aside as a stun round hit him square in the chest. Elias fired upward, one shot, one kill, taking out the pilot. The helicopter spun out of control, crashed, and erupted in flames. The attackers fled into darkness as reinforcements arrived. Morning revealed the destruction. Vehicles burned, barracks damaged, soldiers bandaged. Colonel Sharp stood beside Elias, demanding answers. Elias simply said, "Men connected to a corrupted branch. Men who tried to erase my unit years ago." Rowan, bruised but alive, approached. "General, it's time to expose them." Elias nodded, then turned to Holt, Trek, and Diego. "Still willing to make up for your mistake?" They stood tall. "Yes, sir." Elias smiled, a real smile this time. "Good, because the fight isn't over." The investigation began immediately. Elias, Rowan, and the three younger soldiers dug through encrypted files, old mission logs, coded transmissions. What they uncovered was a dark web of covert operations, unauthorized Black Ops teams, and a hidden network of rogue commanders who profited from conflict. Elias learned that the betrayal of his unit had been orchestrated by someone high in command, someone still active. Holt discovered encrypted messages pointing toward a secret meeting location in the mountains north of the base. Rowan recognized the coordinate pattern. "That's where they planned our execution." Elias clenched his fists. "Then that's where we end this." The team prepared for a silent operation. No official backup, no support, no visibility. If they failed, they would be disavowed. If they succeeded, they would expose a conspiracy that had been buried for years. They moved under darkness, Elias leading with the confidence of a man who knew the terrain of shadows. Holt and Trek monitored flanks. Diego carried upgraded comms. Rowan scouted ahead. Hours passed as they hiked deeper into the forest. Fog thickened. Trees grew twisted and dense. Finally, they reached an abandoned military bunker carved into the cliffside. Lights glowed faintly inside. Voices echoed. Elias held up a fist. Silence. They entered. Inside the bunker, they found files stacked on tables, screens showing surveillance of multiple bases, and a map pinpointing locations where undesirable soldiers had been eliminated. Rowan felt his blood freeze. This is proof! But before they could take anything, footsteps approached. Armed operatives, dozens, poured into the bunker. Holt whispered, "Sir, we're overnumbered." Elias answered quietly, "Numbers don't win battles. Strategy does." Rowan smirked. "Good to have you back." The fight exploded with brutal intensity. Bullets flew. Dust clouded the air. Elias moved with terrifying precision, decades of combat memory flowing through every decision. Holt tackled an attacker twice his size. Trek shielded Diego as he transmitted evidence. Rowan fought like a man reclaiming his honor. When the dust settled, the bunker lay silent. Dozens of enemies unconscious or restrained, the evidence safely transmitted to military intelligence. Helicopters arrived minutes later, not enemies this time, but reinforcements. Officers stormed the bunker, shocked by what they found. The rogue commanders were arrested. The conspiracy collapsed. The truth finally surfaced. The betrayal of Elias's unit was exposed. Rowan's name cleared. Elias was offered full reinstatement. He refused. Instead, he chose to train the next generation. Holt, Trek, Diego, and all the others who needed guidance from someone who'd walked the darkest paths. Life at Camp Harthorne returned to normal. Almost. Rumors remained. Some said Elias still walked the base at night, checking shadows for ghosts of the past. Others said Rowan stayed close, watching his back. Holt, Trek, and Diego became some of the base's most disciplined soldiers. And Elias, he continued appearing where he was least expected and most needed. Thanks for watching Military Stories. If you enjoyed this long, mysterious, action-packed tale, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next story.